Hey guys, this is going to be a very quick video on volume of a cylinder. We're just going to jump right into it. So a cylinder is one of these shapes. Looks like a can basically, shape of a can. And volume is referring to the space inside. So when we talk about volume, we talk about filling it up. Fill it up. For instance, if you had a big can and you wanted to fill it up with water, volume is the amount of water that would go into that can. Or it can be lots of things. Like if this was a cylinder shaped jar that you wanted to fill up with candies, how many candies fit in the jar? That's volume. Or if you wanted to fill it with sand or rocks, whatever you want to fill it up with can be measured in terms of volume. So volume is a measurement of how much space is inside the object. And notice a cylinder has a base made of a circle. So the base is a circle. And so is the top of the cylinder. The base, actually there's kind of two bases. The top and bottom, you can flip it upside down both directions and it's still going to be the same shape. It'll sit on top of a cylinder, or sit on top of a circle, top and bottom. So because of that, our volume formula that we use to calculate the volume is basically we just take the area of the base, so area of base, and then we multiply it by the height of the cylinder, by the height of that shape. So the height would be the distance from here to here, which I'm going to label h for height. And since we know how to find the area of the base because it's a circle, we know area of the circle is pi r squared, our volume formula, therefore, is area of the base pi r squared times the height. And we just kind of memorize that formula, kind of remember how it works, pi r squared times height, and then we apply it to finding our volume calculation. So I'm going to give you an example now. Let's say we have a cylinder, and it looks a little bit different than this one. Let's say it's a little wider and shorter, more like a disc or something. Here's my cylinder. Now technically it's a circle base, so I'll put a little circle back there like that. And I tell you that this cylinder has a distance, a width across that measures 10 centimeters. And it has a height from here to here of 2 centimeters. It's kind of short. And I want to find the volume of this little object. So I look at it and say, oh, it's a cylinder. Volume is pi r squared times height. Area of the circle times the height of the object. And if my distance across here is 10 centimeters, then my radius will be half of that. My radius is only going to be 5 centimeters. So what I do is I go to my formula and I rewrite it. Volume equals pi times something squared times something. Basically take those variables, that r and that h, and I turn them into blank spots. And I'm going to fill in the values that I have. So in this case, radius we decided was 5 centimeters, so 5. And height we decided, well, it's labeled, it's 2. So I put a 5 and a 2 in there. And now I just have to do my math. So let's clean this up. Volume equals pi times 5 squared. Well, 5 squared is 25 times 2. Volume equals pi times 25 times 2 is 50. So I have basically 50 times pi. Now at this point in my work, this is where I have to choose. If I don't have a calculator, I'd probably stop here and just say, well, I have 50 pi as my answer for my volume. That'd be my non-calculator answer. But if I do have a calculator, which I do, I want to calculate this a little more accurately. So I want to figure out what is 50, let's see, we'll turn this on. What is 50 times 3.14? Now 3.14 is rounded pi. We know pi is that number that goes on forever. So it's about 157 is what we're looking at, which means when I write out my final volume, since I'm using pi, I'm going to use a about equal sign and say 157 units. And the units in this measurement is centimeters. And this is a three-dimensional object. It's a 3D object, so it's centimeters cubed. We say centimeters to the third power. Volume is always a measurement of filling up a three-dimensional object. So hence, we always use cubic units. And I always remember that if it's a 3D shape, then I'm calculating volume. 3D makes me think of centimeters cubed. It just kind of helps me remember the cubic units. And then there's my steps. So your work should basically look like this. You should have formula, numbers, 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 answer, all organized step by step by step. And that is how you find the volume of a cylinder. Hope that helps.